The following production is brought to you by the Talkin' Buds Leaf Show.
Talkin' Buds Leaf Show. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Rob. He's Ryan. So where do you want to start here? This week was... what's the word I'm looking for? Familiar? Eerily similar to things we watched last year, in the sense that the Leafs go out against the Winnipeg Jets, one of the top teams in the Western Conference, and look dominant, look like they're up for the game, look like they're ready to go. And then on Saturday night, go into Montreal and not so much. And I think there were things... I feel like you have some takes you want to lay down today, because you were pretty vocal in the text thread last night about what you were watching.
I actually thought they didn't play well against the Jets at all. I thought their goaltender completely won that game for them. I thought they came out. I thought they got dominated all night. They capitalized on their chances, but I just, when they lose in Montreal like that, it just really, I don't want to be negative town guy, but it makes you question everything. It just makes you be like, is this team, I know they just have a good regular season after good regular season, and they're a good hockey team. They dominated like the ozone possession. They got a lot of shots on net, but it's just when they lose a game like that against a team that is clearly in the sweepstakes for a high pick in the draft, and who their best goal scorer is not playing, and they have 7 or 8 guys injured, and in Montreal can rally like that and win a game on Saturday night, like a big game. They just lose another big game in heartbreaking fashion. And it's just, I don't want to get too negative. I know they're a good hockey team, but I just, games like that just really make me question if this group is any better than groups previously. And can they, like, I just don't know if they can get it done. And last night, even though it really means nothing, it's just a regular season hockey game, it just makes you think, like, they can't win the big game. You know, that was a big game last night in Montreal. They haven't won in that building in a long time. And it was their chance to just beat up on a team that they're better than. And other than the first period, they just got overwhelmed by a bunch of nobodies.
We've heard a lot about killer instinct over the years, specifically from Brendan Shanahan. Is that what you're not seeing? Because to me, we talked about the game last weekend in Boston and how they were in it all night, but again, they just can't. It's like a boxer, and you're looking to land that final, like, kind of blow to win the fight, and they just can't land that kill shot, for lack of a better term. And last night, it's the same sort of thing. It's like they're just out there kind of going through the motions. To your point, they don't look good.
They're getting overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Like one of the worst teams in the NHL is just completely dominating you on the forecheck and is playing more physical and playing with more urgency.
But there's that word. And I think, you know, we've talked a lot about the future of Kyle Dubas in the last, like, 7 episodes of this podcast. It's come up with any of the guests we've had on, in conversation between you and me. And should they resign him? What should happen? Are they doing the right thing? Blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I've been vocal. Like, I think he deserves an extension. But then, like, you watch the game against Montreal, and you brought up the word physical. And that is something that Kyle Dubas's teams have always lacked in their personality. And it's something, there's a group of people who will just argue with you on this, and oh, here we go again, the physicality and the grit conversation coming up again. But the proof is in the pudding. When the opponent ratchets up the physicality and the intensity, I've said it about this group forever. They have a style in which they like to play the game. And if you prevent them from playing that style, open space, puck movement, creating they have a very, very difficult time adjusting. And that's what I see with the Habs. The Habs are just like, we're just going to outskate you, outwork you, outhit you, and we're not going to give you any time and space to create anything. And you're not going to have an answer for it.
I feel like I remember asking this question last year when they lost to the Sabres or the Habs. Like, if they played the Habs at a 7-game series, like, could they beat them? Like, I don't know.
Well, I think it's a good question. And I think if they play the way in which they're capable, which we've seen for the bulk of this year, then I think the answer is yes, they could. I think this team still is so fragile up here that, like I was just saying, if the opponent dictates the pace of play and ratchets up the intensity, it's like you can see it. It's like they're trying to keep up and try to, like, okay, we need to get, it's like you have, you've got a bunch of things on your desk, and it's and someone comes along and messes up your collection of pick something.
So your desk is organized.
Yes.
You got your papers here.
And someone comes along and messes it up, and you're just trying to get it all back into, but that person is standing there messing up your situation, and that's them. They're just like, no, we need things to be exactly the way we need them so we can have success. And the opponent is just like, nope. And then they spend all night playing catch up and trying to get their desk organized again.
This is just
a really weird analogy, but it was just the best thing I could come up with in the moment.
It is early on a Sunday morning.
It is early on a Sunday.
I think this team, like, I think in the future, someone needs to do like a case study on this group. Like, they are just one of the most unique groups in sports. Like, how can you just be one of the best regular season teams and have so much talent and the ability to score goals, but just every year you go to the last game and you lose, or you just can't win a big game? Like, it's just, and anyone can look at me and throw all the stats at me about how good this team is and how I'm overreacting, and they're probably right. But at the end of the day, they just can't win the big game.
It's what I just said.
It's shocking.
Ryan, it's what I just said. It's all up here, man. Like, it's all up here. Like, you can see it on them. They're so, this is why when we talked weeks ago about who'd you rather play in the first round, I picked Tampa, because I don't know if this team is mentally tough enough to go into TD Garden and win a few hockey games. Because they just get rattled so quickly, so easily when things don't go their way. And that is like, it's like a form of PTSD from everything that's happened to them over the last 5-6 years.
This may be like a serious hot take, and a lot of people think I'm going to be an idiot for saying this, but
oh, here it comes.
I think you could put the Leafs up against any team in the first round. It could be Boston, Tampa, Montreal, any team, and I think that they are going to still struggle. Like, I still think that it would be a tough series that would go 7 games. Like, I don't think the opponent matters. I just think when like what you're saying, when the moment gets too big for this hockey team, like, I don't know. If you look at every team that's going to make the playoffs, if the Leafs played any of them, I don't think the result or the way the series would go would change at all.
Okay, well, here, can I play devil's advocate then?
Go ahead.
Ryan, this is the 3rd place team in the National Hockey League. They've had an amazing season. They've won a bunch of big games, because there's somebody who's listening to you say that is screaming into their phone or whatever, or their laptop watching at that take. And I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm if anything, I'm adding to your point that they're so confounding. Like they're so, they do well and they're a good hockey team, but there's moments that you look at them and the seed of doubt gets planted in your mind. And the Montreal game was exactly that. I get those people, and I do feel almost dumb saying something like that, but just how could you ignore the history? Like, they did play Columbus, they did play Montreal in the playoffs, and they still couldn't get it done. Like, it's just, I don't think it really matters who they play. They're a good enough team to make it a great series. But in the end, it just comes down to a big moment with this group that they can't push through it.
I don't think it matters which team they're playing. I just think that when that time comes, they just can't get it done. And then I know they might win the next 8 games in a row, and we come on here and be like, wow, this team looks amazing. But
but your point is well made. It's that when the pressure is at its highest, do you think this team can succeed and pull through? And I'm telling you that it's the glass ceiling. And I think if they can break through it, they'll be fine.
yeah,
But I think they just gotta break through it. They have to. You keep saying, you said every week, they have to win. They have to win around. They have to win around. I'm totally, and again, this is the argument against giving Kyle Dubas an extension. It's let's actually do this. Let's actually see if the team he's put together can accomplish the ultimate goal when it matters most.
yeah. I mean, it's just flat. Like, it's just, I don't want to get too down, but it's
You seem pretty dejected today.
yeah, it's, I don't know. I just don't know if don't know if they can get it done. Like, I want them to get it done so bad, but it's just, you can't win a big, like, Hockey Day in Canada game against a crap hockey team that's injured. Like, you get overwhelmed. Like, it was very annoying watching that hockey game. I was very frustrated.
You seem quite dejected today.
I took a turn to negative town. I don't know if this team, I don't know if they can get it done.
I think that goes to show how fragile your psyche is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're traumatized as well I think we all are. And I think that's why we react this way to a loss like that.
And I want this group to succeed so bad, as I've said all season, but it's just, I don't know if they can do it.
Well, the issue is, I think if they went out there and they played well, but some bounces didn't go their way or whatever, that'd be one thing. But I think once again, it's an example of an opponent who knows how to dial up the physicality and the intensity, and the Leafs just not having a response. And I think that is what is so dejecting.
Yeah, against like a team that, and it's just like,
I know we're going in circles here, we're going in circles here, but it's like, it is what it is.
I'll get over it. It's just, I don't know if I fully, like, I thought I could, a game like that just reminds you that I don't know if I have the belief in this group that other people have.
So I think it's pretty apparent that they need to make a deal here. They need a shot in the arm. I still would like to see them add to their top 6 if possible. I'm seeing you're still seeing names like Brock Besser out there. I saw Timo Meier the other day as a guy, a possible option, and it led me to believe led me to think they're going to have to give something up. I know it's Matthew Knies, and what these teams are really after is a high-end prospect and probably some draft capital. But I also think if you're Kyle Dubas, it's been reported up, down, and sideways that he does not want to give up Matthew Knies. So you're going to have to give up someone off the active roster that is a good piece. So we can't sit here and say, oh, let's move Alex Kerfoot. Nobody's taking that, okay? No offense, Alex Kerfoot, but it's not happening. Would you move Rasmus Sandin?
For team? No, I wouldn't.
Not for Timo Meier, just in general. If you're going to bring in a guy, that you feel really good about on that left wing with Tavares and Marner, and you have to give up someone on your team that's like a not a core piece, but like a younger guy with upside.
If it's a rental, then no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't give up anyone with any sort of term for a rental. I'm sorry. I wouldn't. I don't know. I think they're in a tough spot, man. They don't really, anything you trade from their roster is going to just take away. It's like, yeah, you might be trading a guy to get a good top 6 forward, but now you just traded away a good defenseman. Now I got to watch Jordy Ben play more hockey, you know? It's like, I don't want to watch that.
I love how we've all come back down to earth on Jordy Ben.
Yeah, I don't want to watch
Jordy Ben drew into the lineup in November, and we were like, Jordy Ben!
Yeah.
Where'd he come from? Look at him. And now you're just like, oh, Jordy Ben.
Like you're just like, maybe if you could, like the only scenario I can somewhat think of is you look at a guy who's a UFA after this season, a guy who's basically an own rental right now, and you move him for another rental, essentially. Like you're just trading a good player on your team for a potentially better player down the stretch.
That's why I think their chip that they have that's an active player. That's why I go to Rasmus Sandin. If you look at it, because he's on a really good contract that has another deal on it next year, and he's an RFA after that. So I think that would entice a team to potentially say yes if you wanted to include him as part of a deal to bring somebody in here. Because like if you look up and down there, like there's nobody who, aside, unless you want to trade one of the big boys, which they're not doing, there's nobody that's going to fetch back the type of piece that you want, except for Sandin and possibly Liljegren. But I don't want to trade Timothy Liljegren. I think it comes down to either one of those two going out the door, potentially to bring somebody back. And if you're telling me I have to pick one, I'd pick Rasmus Sandin.
Yeah. I mean, they do have, like, everyone's pretty much up after this season. So, like, I don't know. It's just, I think they're screwed. I don't think they're going to trade anyone from the roster. I get what you're saying. I get your theory. Like, you got to give something up on your roster to get something. But I think it's just up to this group to get it done. Like, I mean, you can try and add somebody, but, like, I think the way Kyle's just kind of made this team and how he's just believes in this group, like, yeah, you can. I don't think he's going to trade anyone who's a big piece off his roster. He's not going to trade Matthew Knies. So he's going to have to get creative and do something. And to me, it's just like this. It's up to these top 4 players I'm looking at right now to get this done.
If you're him and you believe your job is at stake, because we don't know what kind of conversations go on in the background. Like for all we know, there could be an extension in place. They're just waiting to make it a formality at some point. But if not, and you're him, and like for all intents and purposes, you're done if you don't win a playoff round, wouldn't you consider trading Matthew Knies?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like
do Alex Anthopoulos.
Yeah. Just push all your chips into the middle.
Yeah.
And just say, we have to win. We have to win.
Yeah, my job depends on it.
My job depends on us winning a round. So if we don't win a round, I'm not going to be here to see Matthew Knies. So
yeah, I think he should. I honestly believe if I were him and I knew that my job was on the line, I would trade Matthew Knies.
And I'm not advocating for that because I don't know. I'm still one of those guys. I know there's people who are probably listening to me going, who cares? But I don't want to, like, as you said, like a lot of their deals are up in the next couple of years. And I don't know, like, you don't want the cupboard to be totally bare.
He's their only nice snack in the cupboard.
Well,
really.
they've got some other guys, other young guys that they've drafted recently, but he's the one, like when you hear like Friedman or something report on potential trade talks, Matthew Knies is always the guy that the other team is asking for. So that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah. I'm just looking at, like, to me, like we've been talking about this for weeks now. I honestly believe that Kyle Dubas should be fired if they don't win in the first round. I am a full believer in that. And that's because, like, all these guys' deals are coming up. Like, we all know that Matthews is coming up and Nylander's coming up. And I don't want Kyle to be in charge of signing those new contracts. I don't. Like, he already did this whole round of contracts. It didn't work. So, like, I honestly believe that if they don't make it, then he should be fired.
It hasn't worked yet.
It's like, what is this? We're going on year. I mean, I know.
I'm not somebody sitting here like I like Kyle Dubas. I am not one of his like disciples who will.
I like him too.
Who will come for your jugular if you criticize him at all. But like I said, the only thing about letting go of Kyle Dubas, I'm petrified of who they're bringing in next. We're just going to go get another member of the old boys club?
Maybe they need that.
Yeah, like, what do we do? Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't necessarily, I don't think that's necessarily like a bad thing.
Like, we're going to go get like, I don't know, like pick somebody. Like I don't want to disparage anybody,
I know
but like
Jimmy Rutherford's just dying to ditch Vancouver and
yeah,
come over.
but like someone of that era, like one of the old boys to come in
Yeah.
here. Like it's just I don't love it, man. I don't love it. I told you last week, if you could guarantee me that you could get Julian Breezebois to leave Tampa or Steve Yzerman to leave the Wings, okay, I'll talk. But outside of that,
They need to find basically they had like Brendan Shanahan should be their general manager. You look at the most successful general managers over the past couple of years, Steve Yzerman, who played in that era, and Joe Sakic, who also played in that era. So you need to find a captain style guy who played in the 90s, early 2000s to be your general manager.
Shanny clearly doesn't want to. I think Shanny is more involved in the day-to-day of the hockey team than he lets on, but he clearly, I don't think he wants to do it.
No.
I think he's more than happy sitting in his big office planning the next MLSE season ticket holder event.
I think what I do think Matthew Knies is getting overhyped for sure. Like
it's because he's a Maple Leafs prospect.
Well, because the problem with Maple Leafs prospects is when the Leafs have a need and they have a prospect who could potentially fill that need, then the expectation on that prospect to step in and fill that need immediately is way through the roof.
Well, we heard Dave Bastel on our show the other day said that he believes Knies could step in and be impactful.
And you know who kind of leads that narrative on is the guys who cover the team.
Yeah.
Like the guys who actually scout Matthew Knies and say that this guy's like really legit. But at the end of the day, he plays college hockey, man. Like you don't know. I know he's a big guy and he's physical, which gets Leaf fans really excited. But what if he comes up and he can't fill in a top 6 role and he's just a 4th, 3rd liner? Like you don't know that for sure. Like remember when Jimmy Vesey was like prospect and like people had him plugged? Like that's when the year that Stamkos was coming to the Leafs and they had Stamkos plugged in the top center position. Then they had Jimmy Vesey on the second line. Like look what that guy turned out to be, you know? Like and there has been successful college players like a Cale Makar. The guy's absolutely ridiculous, but it's just maybe he can't fill the need. So to me, it's just like I don't want to trade him because I think having a guy come in and play on the cheap who could potentially fill a role like that, like you have to take a chance on that. But if you're back to what we said before, if you're Kyle, like what's it to you? Like look what Alex Anthopoulos did, even though when those prospects that Anthopoulos traded ended up being nothing. But at the time, like those were their top prospects and he went, screw it. And look what the run they went on. It worked out.
That's why I wouldn't be surprised if the closer we get to the trade deadline, and it'll tell if he doesn't move Matthew Knies, then I think it's very telling about the discussions that are going on behind closed doors. Or maybe Shanny, because we have not heard anyone questioning Brendan Shanahan. For all we know, Brendan Shanahan is not on the hot seat, okay? Like he'll be the one handling Kyle Dubas's dismissal if it comes to that. So maybe Brendan Shanahan is the one sitting there going, no, we're not moving this kid. Sorry. Like we're not. I'm still going to be here, and we need to make sure the cupboard is not. It's not that it's bare. It's just like we don't want to take our most hyped prospect off the table. So no, I'm not letting you move Matthew Knies. And they've been very vocal after every playoff loss. We believe in this group. We're going down with the ship. We're like yesterday on Hockey Day in Canada, we saw the Calgary Flames put on a clinic of how to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah.
What did you see when you watched that?
I saw a team that just said, F it. We're just going to get under this team's skin and be physical and be tough. It's very easy to get under Nikita Kucherov's skin. I've seen it when the Leafs play them, and especially when the Calgary play them. When you got Milan Lucic, the one-punch king on the ice, going around intimidating everybody, and like the whole team buys in with that. I saw a perfect formula of how you can beat the Tampa Bay Lightning. They're kind of they're a nasty team when you compare them to the Leafs, but when you put them up against a team that could be nastier, you could just see it. You get under their top player's skin, and look what happened.
And
they even got under the goalie's skin.
And this is, I can't believe we're back talking about this, but until they win a round, we're just going to go in the same circle. the Leafs as currently constructed and the style with which they play and the way they want to play is that conducive to success in the playoffs. I believe it is if you play the way defensively, the structured defensive game that they had in November. I think it's not in their DNA. They're never going to be a team that goes out there and gets under, aside from Mike Bunning, no one else is going out there and getting under somebody's skin. Anytime there's rough stuff after the whistle, it's all of them except for Michael Bunning and Wayne Simmons, if he's playing, are like, get me out of this. I don't want to be in there. So that is what it is. Like, that's spilt milk at this point. That's not changing. So how do you then take this group into the playoffs and win a series? Well, you play the way they played in November and early December. You play a structured defensive game where you give nothing up and like protect your goaltender, keep everything to the outside. Everybody bought in, everybody coming back, nobody cheating for offense. Like when you're in the offensive zone, efficient with the puck. None of this like silly pass it 50 times in the offensive zone, do a little between the legs, twirl around, none of that. Just structured defensive, structured offensive play. We saw them in November play this way, and I think that's what they need. That's what this group needs to do to have success. And I think in the last couple of weeks, I feel like they've really gotten away from that. They're giving up way more chances. Like the middle of the ice in their zone is always open. How many times a game does the opposing team get like a primo scoring chance right in front of the goalie? Like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and it's just like you look at their two, like look at the Leafs roster compared to the Lightning's roster. Like the Leafs are constructed where their top four forwards have to be better than the other team's top four forwards, because the Tampa Bay Lightning have a better roster than the Leafs overall. Like they have better guys from top to bottom. But the Leafs are constructed where their top four guys need to be like, for them to win, they got to be the best top four guys on the ice. And when that doesn't work, you go down the list, of both rosters. Like the Tampa Bay Lightning have more depth and better forward group all around than the Leafs do.
Well, I mean, I don't like talking about this. I don't. And I don't like going here. But you've got the Leafs cap friendly open in front of you. There's one contract on there in particular that's awful, and it's killing them. It's killing them.
5-on-5. He's been
it's
that line has been a non. I actually feel bad for Marner now, because now Marner's production is tailing, even though he's a point a game player, but like his production could be more if he was playing with a centerman who could keep up with him.
And again, like, take the emotion out of it, which is really hard for a lot of people to do. And it's even harder, like, it's hard for us sometimes.
It's hard for us to do.
He's not an $11 million hockey player. He's not. He's a $5 million hockey player at best.
Hey, he should be making like
$5 to $6 million.
Like the way, like the only thing he's got going for him is he can still put the biscuit in the basket overall.
Below the hash marks, yes.
When the season
he's still elite. When the game slows down below the hash marks in the offensive zone, he's still elite. Everywhere else on the ice, he can't keep up.
No. 5-on-5, he's been like he's a third line center on most most nights. Like it's tough, man.
It's killing them. Like, you can make all the comments you want about the quote unquote big four. Like 3 of those 4, you could make the argument this year that William Nylander is underpaid.
Yeah.
You could make the argument this year that William Nylander's played like an $8 or $9 million hockey player.
Yeah.
And Matthews is Matthews and Marner is Marner, and it's John Tavares is just not an $11 million hockey player. He's just not. And it's again, I hate this. This is such a hindsight 2020 thing, because we were all excited and we all if we were in Kyle Dubas' shoes, would have done exactly what he did and bringing Tavares in. But like you talked about Patrice Bergeron last week, and like he's older than John Tavares. He's a few years older than John Tavares, and he looks like he's 10 years younger.
Yeah, he still plays in a very effective game. And I know, like, I again, you can go and look at Tavares' stats at the end of every year. He does always have good production numbers. There's no doubt.
But everyone says that.
I know.
I agree. But he's not an $11 million hockey player.
That's the annoying part. It's like my argument earlier where I just don't think this team's can get it done. Someone's going to throw a stat in your face where you're like, okay, like I get it. They're like a good team. It's the same thing with Tavares. It's you watch him and it's like they need more out of this guy if he's taking up 13% of your cap. But someone's going to throw some point a game stat in your face. And it's again, like, yeah, you're right. It's fair. Like
Ryan,
production is important, but
there's lots of point a game players
like
in the league
Zach
that
Hyman
aren't getting paid $11 million.
Zach Hyman has 24 goals right now for the Edmonton Oilers. And I know he plays with McDavid and he plays on that team with two dynamic players, but like there's a lot of go look at the top goal scorers in the NHL right now. There's a lot of new faces up there. Guys not even close to making that money.
There's a lot of guys in the league who are point per game players and are like high impact players in this league that aren't being paid $11 million.
Yeah, they're getting paid half of that, and then the other half is going to another guy who's also giving you good production. So so it's, I mean, that's kind of my case of why Dubas should be fired at the end of the season. Like this is all these contracts on here, like he signed Matthews is Matthews, but he signed Tavares to this contract. He traded Nazem Kadri for Alexander Kerfoot.
But we always knew you and I, man, it's been a while since you and I got on the bus to Negative Town, and we are the mayors of Negative Town today.
That's what that loss did to me, though.
But we always knew that these years of the Tavares deal weren't going to be good. But they believed that that's okay because the first 3 years of the deal, we're going to be contending for cups. And yes, we had a pandemic. The cap didn't go up. That is one bit of slack that I will always cut this organization is they had a plan for the cap to go up and it never did. Now, every other team in the league is also in that same boat. But yeah, like we always knew that these years of the Tavares deal, he wasn't going to be an $11 million player. And that's okay though, because we're going to get the first 3 years, we're going to be contending for cups. And it just didn't happen.
One more thing.
Yeah.
Where's Pontus?
I think he's hurt.
Oh, they sent him down.
Oh, they sent him down. I thought he was hurt. No,
I don't know. Maybe I usually I'm on top of my Leaf reporting, but I haven't seen Pontus. He got sent down. Where's Pontus? I'm sick of seeing Alex Kerfoot center the fourth line. That guy sucks. That guy is like, I'm so done. I'm so done watching him play hockey.
He's back with the Marlies.
But what's going on here?
I don't know.
Like Bobby McMahon that much?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, well, I like Bobby McMahon. I think Bobby McMahon's a good hockey player. I'm tired of watching Alex Kerfoot along with you. They like just never seen a guy. This will always be my take on Alex Kerfoot. Never seen a guy skate harder and work harder to achieve absolutely nothing in my life.
Well, we're lucky because this is his last year.
Oh, well,
so
see, Alex.
And we'll see what happens to Pierre Engvall too.
Oh, that's another thing, man. Like you talked about it with Kevin Mickey a few weeks ago, how like on paper, Pierre Engvall should be their second line left winger.
Probably 6'5", 214 pounds.
And all accounts is from anyone who's seen him with his shirt off is that he's absolutely shredded.
Yeah.
But he plays like he's 5'9". He plays like he's Dennis Malgin's size.
Denny Malgin. All right, let's get out of here.
Yeah, let's get it. Yeah, this was
get out of here. We might lose some subscribers.
Yeah, this was a trip to Negative Town. For the record, the world is not ending.
No, I love this hockey team.
Still a really good hockey team. I think they have issues with their psyche. And I think we as a fan base have issues with our psyche when we see certain things like what happened in Montreal and just going, and even in Boston last weekend, where it's just like this team just needs to land that kill shot.
Like, but the Boston one stung less because it's like, hey, that team, like, look at their goal, they get their plus 77 goal differential. Like, they're just playing at having the greatest regular season of all time, potentially. Like, when you go and lose against garbage team full of injuries and get overwhelmed, like, that is no.
Yeah, we got to get out of here.
Can't do that.
This episode went off the rails when I went on some weird analogy about a messy desk. And you had to jump in and save me there and be like, I don't know where you're going with this, pal.
That's okay.
It's early
I've
Sunday
heard
morning.
worse. I've heard worse.
Early Sunday morning, and as you can see, I wasn't quite finished my coffee, so I apologize for that. Thanks so much, everybody, for checking us out. If you like what you see, hit that like and subscribe button below.
Spread the word. Tell your friends.
We really appreciate